Live. It says Hangout is on air is live. Hello, everybody. It's John Gallagher with Ghost Star Energy. We have another Hangout. We're talking about electric vehicles again. And we have, do you pronounce your name Lindy? Lindy?
Yes.
Hi. So you own a Golf, e-Golf?
Yes, I do.
Great. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm in Portland, Oregon. I have a family. My husband and I love Volkswagens, and we, after watching Who Killed the Electric Vehicle, Who Killed the Electric Car, we've kind of been kind of crazy interested in the topic ever since, which was what, several years ago now. We have two sons, middle schooler and a fourth grader. And so, yeah, we're kind of on this adventure together in terms of planning ahead and making sure we have enough battery uh, life to get us to where we want to when we are out and about on a weekend or something. But we also have a Volkswagen Eurovan, so we do have a backup gas guzzler.
When did you buy yours? And
We were among the first in Portland in the Pacific Northwest to get an e-Golf, and we bought it in November of last year.
so when you went to like the dealership and you was like, I want to buy a Golf, were they like, did you call them up ahead of time and warn them that you were coming?
So yeah, it's kind of a funny story. Like I said, we've been kind of like, okay, if we get another car, if we get a new car, what are we gonna get? Um, and so we started looking into it. We thought we'd probably end up getting a Leaf when we first started researching it. We were looking at Ford Focus, the Leaf, and a couple others, but uh, and we'd actually followed the Leafs journey, before it was launched because they brought it to Portland. There's apparently more Priuses per capita here in Portland than in most parts of the country. Anyway, so we were doing research and I found out that probably in August or September, maybe August, that Volkswagen was coming out with an all-electric car. And since we love Volkswagens, I've had probably four in my lifetime, maybe five. And my husband had one too before we got married. We felt like we could almost buy it sight unseen. That's how much we love Volkswagens. So my husband called, and they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And so or he emailed, and he's like, here's a review of one, here's another review of one. And so it was almost as if we were informing the dealers of what was coming.
Right.
So then someone got a hold of us and we would go, what's up? What's the latest? Et cetera, et cetera. And so finally, it was really funny. They said, we got this email. They're in. They're coming. They're here. When can we schedule a test drive? So I was emailing with this person at the dealer, and we made an appointment for Friday. And I kind of probably in my head realized that it was a dealership on the other side of the town. But when it came to go into the dealership, we were so excited. I thought, oh well, it's obviously the dealership that's on our side of town. So we show up at 9 o'clock. We're here to see so and so for our test drive, and they're like scratching their heads, going, "There's no one by that name." And we're like, "Oh no!" And we were late. You know how it goes. We were late, and there was no way we were driving. Gosh, from where we were, probably would have been a good 25 miles. So they said, we just got them. We're doing training on them. Basically, like telling us there's no way you're going to get to drive one. And we were just so disappointed. We were just about ready to walk out, and the guy says, what do you guys like or want? Why do you guys think you want an electric vehicle or a Golf, the e-Golf? And we just started talking like I'm talking to you now, kind of like crazy, interested Volkswagen people who want an EV, and he's like, let's go for a test drive. So the guy who was doing the training just dropped it all and took us for a drive, and then a few hours later, which just took forever, I don't know why, we couldn't even negotiate much on price, but it took forever to get out of there. But anyways, we walked away, drove away with our EV, our
Well,
e-Golf.
that's probably a little bit of a different story. because it was so new and it was new to the dealership too.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So it was a lot of learning. Like even the people who during the process where you sign all the papers and stuff, they're like, yeah, we don't even know what kind of regular maintenance is going to be needed on this. I think actually we had a little light go on just the other day, and we had to look it up. It turned out something about headlights need to be readjusted, and we haven't really done anything with that since. But in there, as I was flipping through, I realized that there is actually a maintenance schedule, and I need to go back and look at it. But
Yeah.
I don't
Basically,
think it's going to need a lot of maintenance.
right. Basically, it's okay, dealership. Bye. We have our golf now. We'll see you in 5, 10 years when we need another one.
Or yeah, or when our lease expires. We
Right.
do go though for those free washes though.
They got to get you in there somehow, huh?
Well, we're like, hey, it's free and you can just clean our white little pretty vehicle. And so yeah, actually, and there actually was a bit of a small recall on, and I don't know if on all of them, on this one part, like something to do in the car, and they said it wasn't a recall, they just wanted to be safe. And had I even thought about it before I got on this hangout, I would have maybe looked it up because I can't even remember the part of it. So
Well, let's go down that road, since you mentioned it. Really, the truth is, I've kind of paid attention to the different cars, and as far as complaints or issues with the e-Golf, there's very little or nothing. It seems like it's very reliable. No news is good news.
well, do you think it's pretty early still? I don't know how much chatter was there about the Leaf when it came out after a few months.
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot about the Leaf. There's concern about, the battery degradation and such, that it's been out for a little while, but you know, like it's just different, a little different than the BMW i3. There are more problems with the i3. Now it's BMW and they take really good care and they've been working on the problems. And plus, the i3 is a totally new, different, vehicle made from the ground up to be an electric vehicle, where the Golf is the Golf, and there's other versions of them. So that I'm sure that makes a huge difference.
That was a huge selling point for us. Well, first of all, because we already liked Volkswagens, we knew it would feel very similar, and it does. It feels exactly like we would expect from a Volkswagen. And it was a really big plus that it doesn't look weird. It looks exactly like a Golf. And actually, we live in Portland. We're about an hour from the coast if you go direct west. But we have in-laws who have a house about 2 hours away, roughly. And anyway, so we both adventured out, my husband and I, and took the Golf all the way to the coast because there's a supercharger south around 40 miles. And then we went and supercharged, and then we made it over the hill and made it with, it was all a test. I turned off the heater and everything. But when on the way back, the card I had wasn't really activating the supercharger. So I went to the Leaf dealership and pulled in and was like, I have to charge slowly at the level 2 charger. And they were like oohing and awing and pretty much drooling over my Golf. And the first thing out of both of the sales people's mouth was, it looks like a normal car. It looks like a Golf. So it's a pretty big plus, I think, for a lot of people who own who own a Golf, that it's just a great looking and great feeling car.
Now with the Golf, because it has its cousins or sisters or brothers, whatever you want to call them. What's the price compared to one with a diesel? Or I, I assume here in the United States we're kind of limited on what our choices are. But did you even notice? Were you so excited about the Golf that you didn't even look to see what the gasoline engine price was?
We were comparing more apples to apples, so it was very comparable to the Leaf,
Right.
we thought. And Ford Focus, it was around that ballpark. And it wasn't until after we purchased it that my husband was like, do you know how much more money this is than a Golf? And I was like, why are you bringing that up now? So I do think it's probably substantially more, but then and then you take the rebate. So I think it was probably, I don't know, 5,000. I actually can't remember. I looked it up once, and I think I just shut down that browser page because I didn't want to notice.
Right. You know,
But
if
you're
you do
saving money
right,
with gas, and so
not
it's
only
of
gas, but
course,
oil changes because an electric golf is all electric, so
yeah, and um, yeah, it's funny. As soon as I almost, it'd be really funny to find out to the day gas prices dropped right after we bought it. And now we know they're going to go back up. But none of us have never thought gas prices would be this low again. So that is the irony of it. My friends like to tease me about that. Those who could never
right.
imagine having an electric vehicle with a range like we have. And we tell ourselves that the next one will be a Tesla because they're going to come out with a 2 to 300 range in the middle price. So we'll see. But even when we went to the Tesla to drool over them, although I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get past that middle panel that they have, but it's all digital. But even the Tesla guy was like, I haven't been in an e-golf yet. Can I go? Can we go for a ride sometime? He gave us his card and stuff.
Um, with the Tesla, well, that kind of makes it's always electric. What about like the Volt or a plug-in hybrid or something like that? You just didn't really think about that, or why electric?
Yeah, I think we wanted to, if we were going to take the jump and make a contribution in our minds, kind of to the environment and things. Well, we didn't really feel like the Prius gets that much more gas mileage. I mean, we've looked at. I don't think they bring them into the States, but the Gulf diesel in Europe, it gets like 70 miles to the gallon. It's like crazy cool. Of course, they don't bring it into the States, but so we are kind of like, if we're gonna go for it, let's go for it. And if you're gonna have a battery to deal with after such and such time, I mean, might as well. I don't know. We just didn't see the idea of going halfway, I guess. And it was kind of funny. My husband and I both agree.
Well, that's good. I don't know if you did you know I was an oil field worker? I work in the oil field here in Oklahoma.
No, I didn't know
I
that.
Yeah, I pick up oil at the well site, and I'm a truck driver, and I take it to the pipeline, and I unload it at the pipeline. So I'm ready for gas prices to go up. I need them to go up. It makes my job more secure.
Well, my very closest friend was willed some mineral rights in North Dakota. So no, you have to rest assured that I get teased handsomely by her about having and driving an electric vehicle. We've been friends since we were 12, and she's one of those people who could never imagine it because you can only go so far. Like 3 weeks after we owned it, we went across the river to Vancouver, Washington for a get-together, and it turns out our friends moved, and they moved even further away. And so when we got there to their house finally, we only had 13 miles left on the charge. And so, we have a lot of fun jokes already. Don't get lost in the electric, no getting lost in the electric vehicle. My husband and I went to the wine country a few weeks ago, and we were planning ahead, and we got to where we were gonna go plug in and have dinner, and he forgot his hey there, he forgot his phone at one of the wineries, so we had to go back, so it's kind of that, dope, and so the new joke is, can't forget your phone at the winery when you have an EV, we all have these little silly jokes.
Right. It seems like you like to take it out on adventures. What about everyday driving? No
Yeah.
problems?
Mm-mm. No, it's peppy and we gets up and goes. It's super fun to drive. If it's going to get us in any trouble, which it hasn't yet, cross my fingers and knock on wood, is getting a speeding ticket or something because it's just so peppy and fun to drive.
Right. You know, a big reason why I'm doing this, you know, I'm an oil field worker, so it's not about saving the planet and going green for me. It's I think what you're doing is important. It's important for the world because before we got on this, we started talking a little bit about solar panels. And when you buy an electric vehicle, people are going to start thinking about solar panels, or if the other way around. They have
Hmm.
solar, they're going to start thinking about electric vehicles. So if we go down that road where more and more people, I kind of think people are going to go with electric vehicles because they're freaking cool, because it's the new technology, because it's better, you know. And then when they do that, they're going to go with solar, and then we are less subject to the crazies in the Middle East.
I think it's going to be a harder sell for EVs than it is for solar, but I can see there's big hurdles for both. But people are very attached to their cars.
I think once you go EV, you can't go back. I think it's
Well, we feel that way. That's
I,
true.
I think the only problem is that a lot of people just have not seen them. Like here in Oklahoma, I've never seen an electric vehicle going down the road. Here's a secret. I'm just going to tell you and the rest of the people that watch this is that um, I'm the city captain for Oklahoma City for National Drive Electric Week coming in September, which that's putting out by Plug In America. I've never driven an electric vehicle, and I'm doing this
Oh, well,
podcast. And I'm doing this web show, and I have a website, and I don't have to drive it to know it's good. I am planning on making that, a big deal. I'm going to film it when I actually drive the first EV, but I just see it as like, everybody's going to want, like everybody wants the new cell phone, everybody's going to want the new tech electric vehicle.
yeah. I mean, Tesla's doing fairly well, but they're being challenged in other parts of the world now. Um, but yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. We've had mixed reviews from friends, or we'll just be out and we get all kinds of attention, but because it looks just like a Golf, everyone will just see the E or the cool lights that are on the bottom of the below the bumper or something, and they'll say, "Is that really an electric car?" Kind of thing. And then we're pretty outgoing, so we don't really aren't shy about it.
I do think battery technology will get better. You know, a lot of people, solar has been around since we were little kids, and people just don't see it as new technology, and they don't see batteries as being new technology. But it is. Batteries are
Yeah.
new technology, and they're getting better. The Nissan Leaf, the next generation, I think is going to be better than the old one. The Chevy Volt, the next one is better than the old one. You know, and
And I have to say, to Volkswagen's credit, at the dealership that we were at, the gentleman who sold us our Volkswagen, our e-Golf, he had been a Volt. He had sold a lot of Volts, so he's pretty well aware of electric vehicles in general. Um, so I should have mentioned that.
yeah, it's kind of interesting that the dealership, they're I think that their business model is going to have to change. Because like your Golf, it doesn't need to go in for oil changes and maintenance, and there's not a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Um, what do you like about the Volkswagen in general? Because I used to own a Volkswagen. I had a Golf. And the reason I got a Golf is because it was the best car that they had on the lot. I wasn't like, ooh, I want a Volkswagen. So what is it about Volkswagens? And
That we like so much.
yeah,
Um, I like the design. I guess it's on my German heritage and my husband's too. It feels really good. I feel like the American cars are super big and they have gigantic dashes that I think are going to eat me up like a what do they call those? Terminator or the boy. I should know this. I'm a mama boys, but um, those things that change into trucks and cars. What is it called?
All right. I don't know. My kids are
Anyways,
older.
they're just too big, and we've I don't know. We had a Passat wagon and a Passat sedan. I've had Jettas and Golfs before, and now we have the Eurovan. I think we just really liked how they're designed and thought out and um, practical.
So do you plug it in at your house?
Yeah, right now we just have a 110. Hey, Josiah, I need my plug-in. I think I'm gonna lose battery. And uh, we're gonna get a 240 installed. We're just waiting for that to be scheduled. And then we bought a turbo cord so that it's more of a mobile option to charging in fast in 4 hours from 0 to 4 or 0 to 90 in about 4 hours. So
Right.
instead of having something that's actually installed in the house and stays in the house, this is a cord that goes 110 or 120 or 240, and we can just take it with us. So theoretically, if they had this kind of plug-in at an RV park or something, we should be able to plug in.
Yeah, that's cool. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, we thought we were going to get the installed version, but they wanted so much money to have the Bosch certified installers, and then we learned about this option, and to know that for some reason we move or we we go anywhere, then we can always take it with us.
Yeah, that sounds good. With being in Oregon, I asked you about the tax situation. You said you didn't know.
I didn't hear about that great news that we'll get charged for having an EV.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what I was talking about the dealership's going to have to change the taxes will probably be changing too, you know. And what I'm talking about for those that don't know is in Oregon they are talking about charging by the mile because if you drive an electric vehicle, you're not buying gas and you're not paying for the gas tax. And did you notice? Now I do understand that in Portland, your weather stays closer to the same compared to other parts of the country. So have you noticed a drop off on your range with the colder weather?
We'll notice that sometimes it doesn't charge fully to 90 when it's really chilly, when it's really cold. It would go to 77 or something like that. But it's been happy lately, and it really likes 50-degree plus weather. It's been really nice lately here. And sometimes when we do a supercharger, it'll charge up as much to 100, or I think we've gotten 105, but I don't think we really get that range when we actually start driving. We've only,
Right.
and that's why the adventure to the coast was interesting to see. Okay, if we go up hills and how does it actually kind of evens out. It seems to understand or know. Sometimes it'll really on the front end, you'll think there's no way I'm making it as far as it thinks it's going to make it, but then it recalibrates. So we always so each time I made it to Salem or each time I then made it to Lincoln City, if whatever I had left equaled to 90,
Right.
or they're really close. And that's because I was like kind of eco plus. I didn't use the heater just to see what was going on. On the way home, I was like, well, I don't want to be cold again, so I'm going to use the heater. And it wasn't as forgiving. So the heater, adding the heater really matters, but not the heated seats so much or the radio. It's really the air conditioner. We went the other day, it was warm enough, so we used the air conditioner, and I wasn't driving, but my husband said, wow, it really does like sucking the battery life when you use the air conditioner.
I think that would be a little bit of a turn off for people, probably like friends that you know, where you're like, well, we had to turn the heater or air conditioning off to make sure that we had enough power to get someplace. And
Yeah.
you know, the present day all electric vehicle is not for everybody. You know, it's not for somebody that drives a lot or drives too far.
Hmm.
And but don't you think that longer range, just if they could double the range, that would make a world of difference.
World of difference. That's why we say the 2 to 300 is really a sweet. If they can get to 300, that's a sweet spot. And it's like, how far are we from Seattle? There's not a lot of turbochargers from here to Seattle, especially the ones that are SAE, which work with the eGolf. Um, but if they could get, well, two to 300, if there was a turbocharger, we could get to Seattle easy. And then when you're driving around town, it doesn't actually take as much. Um, if you're driving around not in a crazy, cool, like I'm driving for fun kind of way, which takes a lot of battery. But if you're driving around and it's able to recharge it back and forth, it's actually really great for in-city driving. I can't remember how many miles Seattle is.
Have you gone to a gas
It's,
station and pulled up to get a soda, a drink, and parked right in front of the gas pumps
no,
to
we
get
haven't
out of
yet. I
it?
actually thought it'd be funny to do a video of pulling up and going, oh, oh. I was thinking that the other day. It is fun when I take it to Costco and I'm like, oh, I don't have to go in that line of made a whole bunch of cars getting gas.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
somebody on the Facebooks talk about how they went to the grocery store and they asked, if they wanted the fuel discount, they get where some gas or grocery stores have fuel pumps out front. And she was like, no, I don't use gas. I drive on electric, and that's just surprising to some people.
yeah, I still think we're very nascent. We're not usually early adopters of many things. Like we definitely have iPhones, but we got them a year or two after they came out and things like that. But I have to say we're definitely early adopters when it comes to this technology, I think.
Right. You were talking about Who Killed the Electric Car that
Hmm.
got you started on this. And for me, it was Revenge of the Electric Car. I saw Who Killed the Electric Car, and being my libertarian self, I, w- I wasn't that impressed with it. I felt like if General Motors didn't want to have those cars out there, that was their choice. And I don't necessarily believe that if we had the oh, I forgot the name of the car. If we had that car,
Oh
that
yeah, it was a Nice. Was it a Nice? No. Oh, it was
it
a
was
GM.
yeah, it was the Chev General Motors. Well, brain went blank. But I don't necessarily believe that if we kept that car that we would be ahead technology wise. I just think now is the time or coming, this is the time. So when I saw that movie Revenge of the Electric Car where they have the Tesla and
Mm.
people are charging that with solar, they're running these on the sun. That's amazing. You were talking about that you could get some of your electricity from wind. How does that work?
Well, there's a lot of wind farms in the gorge of between Oregon and Washington, and so a lot of us will say that we buy into the program part of our electric bill. So I don't know if 25% of our electric is purchased on wind. So our joke is, if we got all of it from wind, then we'd actually be driving a sailboat because, So yeah, I mean, wind energy out here is they've invested a lot in wind energy, but we also it's in a way it's still like a boat because a lot of the Pacific Northwest is gets its electric from hydro. Hydroelectric is huge, very stable resource
Right.
out here. I mean, Bonneville Power Administration is one of the biggest, I think, in the states.
Yeah, I
Our
still think
grid.
that if people had their own power plants, on their roof or yard or something, that they would, think about their electricity a lot different. Yeah. Well, what else haven't I asked you about your golf? Can you think of anything?
Well, I think I told you earlier too, so something silly. This is how kind of evangelical we are about it, but we have a Twitter account, EV White Rabbit, so we have the white version of the e-Golf. Um, we thought it'd be fun to tweet about things that we do and take with the Golf and even to help promote the whole idea of EV. Um, so that's kind of a fun aside. But other than that, I mean, it's just like every other car in the greatest of ways, and it's fun having a brand new car, which we probably never have again, because we said we wouldn't, because it's not very economical. But
You know,
we figured the cost savings of gas kind of outweighed it a little bit.
it's not just that. You did say that you were a mother. It sets a good example. It really does. It's something to be proud of. You are, blazing the way, for future generations. I even go as far as to say that electric vehicles are going to save the world, and I'm working on my book because when we get energy freedom, then that changes the world, changes the world's
Yeah.
politics. We don't have to go to war over oil, So you're doing something important. It's just not driving an electric vehicle. You're an ambassador for a new way of life.
Yeah, it is an adventure, but we find it fun. I mean, we think it's fun. The kids didn't think it was so fun that one time when we had to go find a charger before we could cross the Columbia River. After I told you we got to that party with 13 miles, but it's fun. I think it's good for them. We're raising our kids thinking a whole new way. I remember as a kid of the 70s asking my dad, "Will we have cars when we grow up?" Because it was the oil crisis of the 70s, and and I was kind of fearful of the future. So you're right. In a lot of ways, this offers hope and excitement for alternatives. I couldn't tell my best bud that, who well, I can't wait for oil prices to go back up either. Um, but I think it's for now and the foreseeable future, it's a good to really mix it up. And yeah, no, I think we're pretty proud of the fact that we drive an electric vehicle. And um, I don't know, sure, some of your viewers will have seen Portlandia. It's a show about where I live, and it's really quirky and silly.
Right.
And we had a young lady come over and that we know, and we were telling her about our electric vehicle and that we were eating paleo, and she was like, "Of course, you guys are completely like an episode of Portlandia." So in a way, we're saving the world, and just further uh, underscoring all the stereotypes of where we live, being quirky and weird and crazy.
Yep. Well, on this, you're right. I'm sure we can find things we disagree about, but on this, you're right. I have started a solar buyers club. It's just on a Google Plus, site, just Google Plus, and it's Solar Buyers Club. And the thing about it is you don't need necessarily, have your neighbors and the next door neighbors, and you don't have to have your community, going solar, but you might be able to find somebody else in Portland. It's brand new and it's not going to work unless I get more people on there. But to me, it's like a nationwide co-op. We get more people on there, then there's only one way to really get the lowest price on solar, and that is just join together. Either you buy a whole container of solar panels, or you go to your solar installer and say, hey, we have these three families. We're looking for the best price. What you got?
Yeah,
So
we have some people in the neighborhood, and there's incentives that the city gives and things. We just haven't looked into it since, with the holidays right after we bought the car and stuff. But it's on our list of things to do. We need to get our roof um, done, so it would be right after that.
yeah, well, I'm selling my house before I can um, put more into my business. So I'm a long ways off myself before I buy an electric vehicle or before I buy solar panels. But it's not going to stop me from promoting it.
Yeah, cool.
Well, thanks for chatting. I'm glad that we was able to talk about the electric vehicle or about their e-Golf. You know, the truth about the e-Golf is that it's just fantastic. You know, if I was going to buy one, that would probably buy an electric vehicle. I'd probably look at the e-Golf first. You know, it's like you said, it's a normal vehicle. It's based off the other Golf, and it's made by Volkswagen, which is a very huge and successful company, and it just seems like that they're working really well.
Yeah, I mean, every car, I think dealer and manufacturer has its up and downs, but we've had pretty good luck with Volkswagen, so we're pretty happy.
Yeah, one thing that I had a friend kind of say, oh, I was going to look to buy an electric vehicle, and it was so expensive. And well, what are you driving? Well, I'm driving a 2000 Ford, and to go to talk to the person a little bit more, he has not bought a new car in years and years and years. And he had this belief that because it was an electric vehicle, he's going to save money, that it was going to be cheaper. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that just don't realize how much a new car cost.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, we paid, yeah, it's true. So we'll see. I thought it's a little bit of a risk and a gamble to know how much it will retain its value, but we were kind of thinking it retain its value a little bit more than not retain its, because of its uniqueness.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on resale because of the batteries. You know, you put a brand new battery in that vehicle, and you have pretty much almost brand new vehicle.
Hmm.
But the batteries cost so much,
Yeah.
so it should be interesting. Well, I thank you very much for hanging out with me. I was,
Sure.
yep, I was going to do it by myself and just talk my theories and thoughts because, like I said, I've never driven an electric vehicle, so I can't really say. So,
Well, if you ever make it to Portland, we'll take you for a drive.
yeah, I've been in Portland many times. I was an over-the-road truck driver for many, many years. So I used to go out there every week from the Midwest. Yep,
Cool.
I liked it.
Great.
Yeah, and we used to haul nursery stock back to the Midwest, which I didn't like that. This is kind of the nursery stock time of year. There's truck drivers loading up plants and taking them
Hmm.
back right now.
Yep.
Yep. Well, again, I appreciate it. And to you and to everybody, remember I started a Solar Buyers Club. It's totally free and open. There's no email that you have to get, and it's not going to work unless we get more people. So that's the plan.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for hanging out. Bye now.
All right. Bye.